Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a world where everybody wants applause before results. Everybody wants to post the dream, announce the plan, and get validation before they've done the work. And I'm here to tell you that mindset is broken. Real growth doesn't happen in the comments section. It happens in silence. It happens when nobody is watching, when nobody is clapping, when nobody even believes in you yet. Building in silence is not weakness. It's power. It's choosing discipline over dopamine. While others are busy talking about what they're going to do, you're actually doing it. While they're chasing attention, you're stacking skills. While they're comparing timelines, you're staying locked in on your own lane. Here's the truth. Most people don't want to hear nobody cares at the beginning. And that's a gift. Because when no one cares, you're free to fail, free to learn, free to experiment without pressure. You can lose quietly. You can make mistakes privately. You can figure yourself out without the noise of opinions pulling you in 10 different directions. About understanding that talking feels productive, but execution is what actually changes your life. In today's world, it's easy to confuse movement with progress. Posting goals, telling friends about plans, or announcing big dreams on social media gives a temporary feeling of accomplishment. That feeling is dangerous because it tricks the brain into believing work has been done when in reality nothing has been built yet. Silence forces honesty. When you stop announcing, the only thing left is action, and action is the only currency that matters. Executing quietly creates focus. When you tell everyone what you're about to do, you invite opinions, expectations, and pressure. Some people will doubt you, others will overhype you, and both can mess with your mindset. Doubt can slow you down, and praise can make you lazy. Working in silence removes these distractions. You're no longer performing for approval, you're performing for results. That shift alone increases consistency and discipline. There is also a psychological advantage to keeping plans private. When goals are public too early, the brain often receives a reward just for sharing them. That reward reduces the urgency to follow through. On the other hand, when no one knows what you're building, the only way to feel progress is by actually making progress. Each small win becomes internal, not external. And that builds real confidence. Confidence built from execution is stronger than confidence built from applause. Silent execution also allows room for failure. Every meaningful journey includes mistakes, wrong turns, and lessons learned the hard way. If everything is public, failure feels embarrassing and people quit early to protect their image. When the work is private, failure becomes data. You can pivot, adjust, and grow without fear of judgment. This makes the learning curve faster and the foundation stronger. Finally, stopping the habit of announcing plans creates a mindset of ownership. You stop trying to prove something to others and start proving it to yourself. The goal is no longer to be seen as successful, but to actually become successful. When results finally show up, they speak louder than any announcement ever could. Execution done quietly compounds over time, and by the time people notice, the work is already done and the momentum is real. Focus is on the reality that real success is rarely fast, exciting, or dramatic. Most people quit not because they lack talent, but because they underestimate how long meaningful results actually take. They fall in love with quick wins, viral moments, and overnight success stories without realizing that those moments are usually the result of years of unseen effort. Patience is not about waiting passively. It's about staying committed while time does its work. Consistency is what turns patience into power. Showing up once or twice with intensity feels good, but it doesn't change outcomes. Showing up every day, even when energy is low and progress feels invisible, is what compounds into mastery. Small actions repeated over time create momentum. One post, one workout, one sales call, or 1 hour of learning doesn't seem impressive, but thousands of them stacked together create results that look extraordinary from the outside. Hype is tempting because it offers shortcuts. It promises fast growth, instant recognition, and easy money. But hype fades quickly, and when it does, so do the people who relied on it. Shortcuts often skip the uncomfortable stages where skills are built and character is formed. When challenges show up, those without a solid foundation collapse. Patience forces you to earn every level, and that earning process makes success sustainable. There's also an emotional discipline required to stay patient. Watching others appear to move faster can trigger doubt and frustration. Comparison becomes a trap, making you feel behind even when you're on track. Patience teaches you to trust your own timeline and understand that different paths require different amounts of time. Consistency keeps you grounded in daily actions instead of emotional reactions. Over time, patience and consistency create credibility. People trust those who have been around, who keep showing up, and who don't disappear when things get hard. Results built this way don't need loud promotion because they speak for themselves. While hype chases attention, patience builds substance. When the noise dies down, consistency is what remains, quietly producing results that last far longer than any trend or shortcut ever could. Is about realizing that opinions are cheap, abundant, and mostly irrelevant to your actual progress. Everyone has something to say, especially when you start chasing something different or ambitious. Some people will criticize you out of insecurity, others will project their own limitations, and some will give advice without ever having done the work themselves. If you let every opinion influence your direction, you'll spend more time adjusting to noise than building anything meaningful. Your work ethic is the only thing fully under your control. Talent, timing, and luck matter, but none of them compensate for a lack of effort over time. When you commit to showing up consistently, you start separating yourself from the majority of people who rely on motivation or external validation. Motivation fades quickly. Work ethic stays when things get boring, difficult, or uncomfortable. That's where real progress is made. Validation is addictive, and that's what makes it dangerous. Likes, praise, and recognition feel good, but they can become the reason you work instead of a byproduct of the work. When validation becomes the goal, decisions start being made for approval rather than effectiveness. You choose what looks good instead of what actually works. A strong work ethic flips that dynamic. The focus moves from being seen to becoming skilled, from impressing people to delivering results. There will be moments when the work feels invisible. No recognition, no encouragement, no clear signs that you're winning. This is where many people slow down or stop altogether. But those who through these phases develop resilience, they learn to rely on internal standards instead of external applause. Over time, this builds self-trust, and self-trust is far more powerful than confidence given by others. When results eventually show up, opinions naturally change. Critics become supporters, and silence turns into attention. But by then, their approval no longer defines you because you've already proven something to yourself. Work ethic creates evidence. Evidence creates confidence. And confidence built on evidence doesn't need permission, praise, or validation to keep going. Is about accepting that failure is not something to hide, but something that must happen away from the spotlight. Losing in private is part of the process of earning respect in public. Every successful outcome is built on a foundation of mistakes, bad decisions, and moments where things simply didn't work. The difference is that most people only see the finished result, not the countless failures that shaped it. When failure happens publicly too early, it can discourage people from continuing. Embarrassment, fear of judgment, and pressure to explain yourself often push people to quit before they've had enough time to learn. Private failure creates a safer environment to experiment. You can test ideas, refine skills, and make adjustments without worrying about how it looks. This freedom accelerates growth because the focus stays on learning instead of protecting an image. Losing in private also builds humility. When you struggle without an audience, you're forced to face your weaknesses honestly. There's no one to blame and no applause to distract you from the work that needs to be done. This kind of self-awareness is critical because it allows real improvement. People who skip this phase often build success on fragile confidence, which collapses when challenges arise. Respect earned in public is different from attention gained in public. Attention can be bought, faked, or borrowed. Respect comes from consistency, resilience, and results. When people finally see your wins, they are often responding to the depth behind them. That depth is created during the unseen losses, the quiet setbacks, and the long stretches where progress feels slow. Those experiences create maturity and emotional strength. Private losses also prepare you mentally for public wins. When you've already been through disappointment and struggle, success doesn't make you reckless or arrogant. You understand what it costs, so you protect it. You become less reactive to praise and criticism because you've already survived worse in silence. By the time recognition arrives, you're grounded, steady, and capable of sustaining it because the real work was done long before anyone noticed. emphasizes that long-term success is built on discipline, not bursts of inspiration. Motivation is emotional and unpredictable. Some days you feel unstoppable, and other days you feel drained, distracted, or unsure. If progress depends on how you feel, results will always be inconsistent. Discipline removes emotion from the equation. It's the ability to do the work regardless of mood, circumstances, or external energy. Discipline is created through structure and habits, not willpower alone. Setting routines, systems, and non-negotiables turns effort into something automatic. When actions become part of your identity instead of a temporary push, consistency becomes easier. You no longer debate whether to show up, you simply do. Over time, these repeated behaviors shape outcomes that look impressive, but are actually the result of simple actions done relentlessly. Motivation often focuses on the outcome, while discipline focuses on the process. Motivation asks, do I feel like doing this today? Discipline asks, what needs to be done today? This shift keeps you grounded in daily execution instead of emotional highs. Long-term success requires thousands of ordinary days done well, not a few extraordinary moments. Discipline keeps you moving during the ordinary days, which make up most of the journey. There is also a level of freedom that comes with discipline. When you trust yourself to do the work consistently, anxiety decreases. You stop overthinking and start relying on systems. This creates momentum, and momentum builds confidence. That confidence isn't loud or performative. It's calm and steady because it's backed by proof of repeated effort. Over time, disciplined behavior compounds. Small habits turn into skills, skills turn into leverage, and leverage turns into opportunities. People often admire the final result without realizing that discipline was the real advantage. Motivation may start the journey, but discipline finishes it. When success is built this way, it doesn't collapse under pressure because it's rooted in habits that continue working long after motivation fades. Building in silence is about choosing substance over noise and progress over approval. When you stop announcing and start executing, stay patient and consistent, rely on work ethic instead of opinions, accept private losses, and live by discipline, success becomes inevitable. The world may only notice the win at the end, but that win is earned long before the spotlight appears. Real success isn't loud on the way up. It speaks for itself when it arrives. Thank you.